The greatest soccer team in the world once lost to a team of part-timers who had practiced together exactly once. The man who scored the only goal washed dishes for a living. That sounds fake. It isn't. 1950, the World Cup in Brazil. England arrive as the self-described kings of football, and they have the record to back it up. Weeks earlier, they beat Italy 4-0 and Portugal 10-0. The bookmakers make them 3-1 to win the whole tournament. Their opponents in the group? The United States, a country that, at the time, did not care about soccer at all. The American team had lost its last 7 international matches by a combined 45-2, 11-0 against Norway, 7-1 against Italy. The same bookmakers put them at 500-1. This team was thrown together in a hurry, and the players all had day jobs. Walter Barr taught high school. Frank Borghi drove a hearse for his uncle's funeral home. Others delivered mail or washed dishes. The center forward, Joe Gaetjens, washed dishes in a restaurant and studied accounting. One man had to skip the World Cup entirely. He couldn't get the time off work. They had trained together as a full team exactly once, the day before they sailed to Brazil. Their own coach told reporters, "We have no chance." He called his players sheep ready to be slaughtered. An English newspaper wrote that it would only be fair to spot the Americans a 3-goal head start. June 29th, Belo Horizonte. England were so relaxed, they left their best player on the bench, Stanley Matthews, one of the finest in the world, saved for the harder games they assumed were coming. The match begins exactly the way everyone predicted. England attack in waves. Inside 12 minutes, they hit the post twice and force save after save. The Dishwasher's team is barely hanging on. Then, in the 38th minute, the schoolteacher, Barr, takes a long shot from 25 yards. The English keeper steps across to gather it, and Joe Gaetjens throws himself headfirst at the ball, grazing it just enough to send it the other way, past the keeper, into the net. 1-0. To the part-timers. Now England have over 50 minutes to fix this. The kings of football. They cannot do it. They batter the American goal. The hearse driver in net saves everything. A certain header is tipped away at the last second. A shot rolling toward an open net is cleared off the line by an English defender named Alf Ramsey, who, 16 years later, would manage England to the only World Cup they have ever won. The Brazilian crowd had come to cheer England. By the end, they had switched sides entirely, roaring for the Americans. At the final whistle, they poured onto the field and carried the dishwasher off on their shoulders. Final score? United States 1, England nothing. Back home, England could not process it. The next morning, the papers printed the score correctly, 1-0. There was no misprint, no headline flipping it to 10-0 for England. That story was invented later. What came instead were the excuses. The English press decided the Americans must be ringers, imported, not really American. 8 of the 11 were born in the United States. 5 of them came from a single city, St. Louis. And the defeat wasn't even England's worst result that day. That same afternoon, their cricket team lost at home for the very first time. The soccer humiliation ran as the second story. Here is the final insult. It changed nothing in the standings. England lost their next game and went home. The United States lost theirs and went home too. The biggest upset in the sport's history, and both teams were eliminated anyway. England saved their best player for the hard games. They never got one. The kings of football were knocked out by a schoolteacher, a hearse driver, and a dishwasher, and then spent years insisting it couldn't have happened the way it did. For more ridiculous true stories, subscribe.